Hi everyone, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are.
Okay. So we will be discussing in this call for 15 minutes, and at 9 o'clock I will give you another link. Please join that link, right? So I'll tell you what we are going to do today. So we will be discussing about the installation part, right? The MLOPS course content is already prepared. I think I will be sharing with you. You will get it through email. But today we will be discussing about the installation, right? So the softwares. So it will take 2-3 days. So this entire week before we start, right? Officially we will start after this Republic Day, like 26, 27, 28. So 29th onward. When you connect Monday onwards, we will start with the content. So in this week, we will make sure we understand the prerequisite. Prerequisite means two things: installation, VS Code, Jupyter Notebook. We will be using for our coding purpose. And we also have to understand about Git and GitHub, right? So we should have Git account and GitHub account, and then we should know how to pull our code, push our code and all that, right? So these are very bare minimum thing. I think it's not related to, I mean, if you are in IT, you should know code version, right? Control. So I think if you're a software engineer, you already know it. I think I'm assuming 60-70% already you know, like 60-70% of total number, right? Already you know it, but I will start from scratch. So today's takeaway is Git and GitHub. So we'll discuss from very beginner level. Even if you know, I think it will be a good revision. People who already know, for them it will be a good revision. But without Git and GitHub, we cannot proceed, right? All the code, whatever we will do later in our class, we need Git and GitHub. So from the very beginning only, I will be completing Git and GitHub and the required softwares. So in this course, we are going to use Python as a programming language. I told you we don't really, it's platform independent, means you can use your, you can use Ubuntu, you can Linux, you can use Mac, or you can use Windows, right? Operating system, whatever you can use. But the IDE that we are going to use is something called Jupyter Lab, right? And later when we take our code and deploy, cloud also, on cloud also, AWS, we are going to use Jupyter Lab. So what is Jupyter Lab and what is VS Code? So two things we will be discussing. What is the language? Language is Python. And don't worry about Python. I will explain Python from starting, right? From core to advanced. And also we need two IDE where we will write our code, right? We need two IDE. We'll start with Jupyter. In the very initial classes, we will be using one tool called Jupyter Notebook, and then we will also use Jupyter Lab, which is very similar to Jupyter Notebook. And then we will move to VS Code. After we complete the core Python, advanced Python module, when we come to machine learning part, right, the deployment part, we will be using VS Code. So what is the takeaway for today's class? I will make sure this installation is done, right? Python, Jupyter Notebook, and VS Code. This three installation is done. And in today's class, I'll just show you a demo. So it may be little, so many things for you, right? So don't get overwhelmed. If you are not understanding, I'll repeat tomorrow also, right? This entire week is only installation. So tomorrow also I will repeat again, right? But today I will show you end to end. So I'll discuss about Git and GitHub, how to install Git and GitHub, and how to create your account, and some basic commands, very beginner level command, how you can write your code, how you can track your code using Git, what is commit, what is staging, right? How to add your files untracked, how to push your code to GitHub from Git, right? So all of these basic things we will discuss. So that is the takeaway for today's class. And if you have any questions related to the course or anything, please wait. Today's class will be a little longer. It will be till 10 o'clock, right? Because a lot of things needs to be covered. And don't worry, everything I will repeat. Tomorrow also you can ask me if you have any doubt. So let's start with installing Python. So installing Python, you have two options. One is you can, the first thing that we are doing is installing, right? Installing Python. So to install Python, we have two options. First is you can go to python.org and you can install Python, right? But in this course and also in industry, we just use Anaconda. So what is Anaconda? Anaconda is all in one. What is the benefit of installing Python through Anaconda? So I'll take you through the Anaconda site, but Anaconda is all in one. So Anaconda is a package manager, right? It is very easy to create virtual environment using Anaconda, and it is a good package manager. So we are going to use Anaconda to install Python. Not only Python, Anaconda will also help you to install, number one, it will install Python for you. It will set the path and everything. Second thing is it will also install IDE. IDE means the editor, the code editor, right? Integration development environment. So IDE, editor. So where you will write your code. For example, if you're a Java programmer, you must have used Eclipse. Similarly, for Python, we have some IDEs. So Jupyter Notebook is the IDE which Anaconda will install for you, right? You no need to install it separately. Anaconda will install Jupyter Notebook for you. Another IDE also it will install, that is called Spider. So two IDE it will install along with Python, plus as you are like lot of external packages or libraries you need, right? When you are using let's say this like Python, so you machine learning, you need scikit-learn, right? For data manipulation, you need pandas library. If you want to implement deep learning, you need neural networks, for example, TensorFlow package or Keras package. If you want to create visualization, you need Plotly package. So these are external packages. Like this, we have tons of external packages. So the good thing is Anaconda will also install some of the important packages which are very well known, like pandas, which is universally like used, right? Most of the data science packages, whatever important packages, that also it will install. So in short, right, within 2 minutes, everything is done and we can start coding, right? It is taking the headache of installing Python and then installing IDE and then installing packages. So everything all in one. And also it is very good for code management, or sorry, package manager. So hence we will be using Anaconda for installation. So now once you have, so I'll tell you the steps, what you're trying to do here. In the next 1 hour, this is what is the takeaway, what we're trying to do. So the number one thing is we will go to Anaconda site and we will download Anaconda, right? Download and install, right? Just 1 second. Okay, so the first thing that we will do is we will download and install. And once we have completed this step number 1, in our system, we will have Python installed, we will have Jupyter Notebook installed, we will have Spider installed, we will have all the important packages installed. But we need another IDE called VS Code. Jupyter Notebook is done by Anaconda, but we need VS Code and Jupyter Lab, right? So second thing is install VS Code. We are going to install VS Code, right? We are going to install VS Code and Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Notebook and Jupyter Lab, there is a very slight difference. I'll tell you, but Jupyter Lab, please note, Jupyter Notebook will be installed by Anaconda, not Jupyter Lab. As we need Jupyter Lab, we need to install it separately. Jupyter Lab is nothing but Jupyter Notebook, very similar to that with some advanced features. We'll discuss about it. So we will install VS Code and Jupyter Lab. In the third, we will be installing Git and GitHub. Git we will install, and then GitHub account we will create. It is a remote server. So we will go to GitHub site and we will install Git, basically. Install Git. Let's step by step we will write. And then the fourth step, we will create GitHub account. Go to GitHub and you create your GitHub account, right? You create your GitHub account. And after that, what we need to do is we need to understand very basic. So we are going to understand what is Git. Quick tutorial on Git. Quick tutorial to start getting started, right? Very like within 15 minutes, how you can understand about Git. So quick tutorial. And then we will understand about Git and GitHub. So basically, what we're going to cover in this Git tutorial. So how to set our Git once we have installed our Git, right? How to create a Git repository, right? What is a repository means what is Git, what is GitHub, what is the difference, what is a repository, how to create a repository, how to track your code, what is staging, what is add file to your staging area, what do you mean by commit, how to push from local to server like Git to GitHub and GitHub to clone to Git. All of these things we will discuss. So that is Git and GitHub tutorial, right? So this is what we're going to discuss. And finally, I will be showing you one demo. So don't take this demo seriously. This is just very high level, right? Anyway, in your batch, I'm going to like completely from in detail, I'm going to show you later. This is just a demo where what we need to do is whatever code we have written, right? Whatever project we have built. I told you yesterday, every MLOps project is end to end. Let's say we have created our code where in one file we are cleaning our data, in one file we are collecting our data, in one file we are training our model, in one file we are validating our model. So this is all these things we are doing in VS Code in our local system, in our laptop. Now, when we go to deployment, right, we will take this code from our local system to server. Server means we are going to use here AWS. In AWS, we are going to use one service called AWS SageMaker. So this is just a demo. As I said, many of these things you will not understand, but I will show you quickly, end to end kind of. So once I have this code, how to push it to SageMaker means how to take your code from VS Code local system to your cloud system, right? Or AWS platform, and how to execute there. So that is a quick demo. Maybe it will take 15 minutes. I don't worry about this 15 minutes. Maybe you can understand 20-30%. That is absolutely fine. It is just a demo. In fact, we are going to do everything in detail. Once you enroll for the course, not one, not two, but three projects in different like different kind of project, right? As I discussed yesterday, we are going to deploy in the same platform. But today I just will give you a quick demo how you can push your code from VS Code to AWS. So this is one thing where you are pushing it to GitHub, but GitHub is again not AWS, right? From GitHub, how you can push to AWS. So from your local, let's say VS Code, right? You are pushing it to GitHub, or similar to GitHub, we have another service in AWS called Code Commit, which is very similar to GitHub. Any one platform, let's say Code Commit of AWS or GitHub, you are pushing your code from VS Code. And from here, you are pushing it to AWS SageMaker. So how to create this pipeline? I'll show you a demo at the end of the class. So this is the takeaway for today's class. I think many of you, if you're not enrolling also, this will be helpful because this is very, very, very much universal topic. Doesn't matter what you are, software engineer, data scientist, data analyst, whatever is your role, Git and GitHub knowledge is required, right? And I'm not going to make you expert because I think that is something, as I said, prerequisite, right? I'm expecting someone who is joining this MLOps course to know these things like Python, Git, and GitHub. These are the universal topic which should be known to you. Core Python and GitHub, because many of you don't know this. I will make you comfortable so that later in the course when I'm using Git and GitHub, you should not feel uncomfortable. That's the goal, right? So we will discuss everything one by one. We will Anaconda download, install VS Code, Jupyter Lab, Git install, GitHub account creation, Git tutorial, and then I will show a demo. So these are the takeaways. Let's go to the first thing, that is Anaconda download, right? Okay, so I'll take one question. What is the need to learn multiple IDEs? Every IDE has its own advantage and disadvantage. So Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab is necessary for trial and error. From the day one, you will not write very structured code, right? You will do a lot of trial and error. For that purpose, Jupyter Lab we will use. But when your code is ready and multiple scripts are there, when you're dealing with one script, Jupyter Notebook is good. When you have multiple script, Jupyter Lab is good for trial and error if you want to run your code and see the output. But finally, when you have your final code, right, I think VS Code is very good because of a lot of reasons. So yes, we have to use VS Code and Jupyter Lab both. Jupyter Lab for trial and error purpose, but VS Code when we have our final code, final version. Again, Jupyter Notebook is very good for visualization purpose if you have a lot of mostly machine learning related trial and error. But finally, when everything is done, we have our final version of the code, we will take it to VS Code. So to answer you, yes, both of the IDE is necessary. And in industry also, everyone knows both of this. It is an industry standard. You will not find any data scientist who doesn't know Jupyter and they don't know VS Code. Both are well known, very popular. You can also use PyCharm, but any one is fine. In between VS Code and PyCharm, you can select one as per your choice, but Jupyter is mandatory. You have to learn Jupyter. Okay. So Jupyter Notebook, yes, one thing is missing in this entire course, that is a tutorial about the Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook tutorial is missing. Maybe in tomorrow's class, I will give you a quick tutorial on Jupyter Notebook. Today, time will not permit to give this tutorial, but tomorrow I'll make you comfortable using Jupyter Notebook. Right? Okay. Fine. So let's go to, I'll just share my screen, right? So what we're going to do is just very simple thing. Just go to and type Anaconda Python download, right? Anaconda Python download. So you will get this website. Click on this. I already told you what is Anaconda. Anaconda is all-in-one. It's a free distribution and it is all-in-one. So basically you can go down and read about Anaconda to know more. Conda is an open source package and environment management, right, system that runs on any operating system, quickly install, runs and update. So in short, it's a very good package manager. So no need to think much or explore much. Just go and download. And here you can select your operating system. Mine is Windows. If yours is Mac or Linux, based on that, you can simply go and then download. So it is 898 MB for Windows. And why it is taking so much space? Because not only Python, it will also install Jupyter Notebook. It will install packages, everything all in one. It's very simple. You just click on this and it will start downloading. Right. Okay. I'll just pause it here, right? So it is just, you can understand. So it is just, what is this? This is the exe file, and once it is downloaded, you can just, okay, let me start it. So once it is downloaded, you can just do click next, 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 and done. Don't do any changes. Only if you want to change the path where you want to install, default is C drive users. But if you want to change the path maybe to D drive, E drive, you can change that. Otherwise, don't do any changes, as it is nothing to do. Like within seconds, you can complete the installation. If you're Mac user, drag, drop, you know how to install any software, same way. And once it is done, you can just click next, next, and done. I have already installed Anaconda, so I will just show you, but I'll not do it again. It will not allow me actually until I uninstall the before one, right? So you can see this is the exe file. This is the exe file. I can just click on this and next, next, next. System is very slow, right? So you understood. So once you have done this, what you will get is you will get Anaconda in your system. Very simple. Step number 1 is done. Go to Google, click on Anaconda download, download it, click next, 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 and done. Next, next, and done. Agree? No change, just me. Here I was talking. So if you want in another folder, you change the path. Otherwise, next, next. Already it is there. So as I said, it will not allow me, but you can go ahead and click on next, next, and done. So Anaconda is done. So how to check whether Anaconda installation is successful or not? Once it is done, you can go to the folder, right? Wherever it is stored. Basically in Windows machine, you can just search for Anaconda. In Mac also, you can go to your home and search for Anaconda. And you will see a folder called Anaconda 3. Can you see? There is a folder called Anaconda 3. If you can see this folder, right? Try to open something called Anaconda Navigator. Search for Anaconda Navigator, a green color circle. Click on this open. So what I'm trying to do here is, once my installation is done, this green color circle is called Anaconda Navigator. I'll search for Anaconda Navigator and click on open. It will take some time, maybe 2-3 minutes. It's very slow. But once I can see that green color Anaconda Navigator is opening, just let me open again, right? It is opening. So you can see once it is opened, and once I'm able to see all the things that it should have, like Jupyter Notebook and then Spider, and once I'm able to launch Jupyter Notebook from here, I think my installation is successful. It will open, it will take some time, 2-3 minutes, but I think our first step is done. Installation of Anaconda is done. When I'm saying installation of Anaconda is done, installation of Python is done, installation of Jupyter Notebook is done. Jupyter Notebook is a IDE. Okay, how does that look? Right, maybe I can open it and show. Once this Anaconda Navigator is opening, I'll show you. Otherwise, from here also you can open. Fine. We'll discuss about. So this is the page, right? If you can see this page, your Anaconda installation is successful. You can see a lot of things are here for me, but for you, I think it will not be present. I have installed Jupyter Lab also. So it is asking me for launching it. But for you, I think Jupyter Lab will not be there. Jupyter Notebook will be there. Spider will be there. If you have VS Code separately installed, VS Code also will be there. I'll not show you how to install VS Code. It's any other software. You just go to Google and download VS Code and install it. It's just a software. And once you have installed VS Code, you can launch it from here also. Now in your system, you have 3 IDE, Jupyter Notebook, VS Code, and Spider. Right? How to launch this Jupyter Notebook? Just click on this launch and it will open your Jupyter Notebook. It's a local host. It's a very different IDE than any other IDE. It will open in your local browser. Right? This is not the right way to open Jupyter Notebook. It's very slow. I'll tell you the quick way. Right? The quick way is just go to home. It is starting here, but I'll tell you the quick way, right? So this is the Jupyter Notebook. So don't worry about Jupyter Notebook. I will give you a 30 to 40 minutes tutorial, complete tutorial, how to open Jupyter Notebook, how to close Jupyter Notebook, how to write your file, code, Python code, how to execute, how to download, how to save, what is Markdown, how to write simple Markdown in your code. What is all the things, detail about Jupyter Notebook. Tomorrow we will discuss. That is the takeaway for tomorrow's class. Today my goal is Git and GitHub. So I'm just parking this here. I'm not going to teach you about Jupyter today. Tomorrow I will explain you. But I am just showing you because the installation is successful. So you can see this and you can open a Python notebook. Your installation is successful. You can start writing your Python code. Python is also installed. Because this is a Python notebook, you can write your code here. So it is done. Right? So this part is done. Any doubt? I'll pause here. Any doubt? Yes or no? Any doubt? Anaconda download install. Clear? Okay. Aditi, Hussein, I think most of you already know. These are very silly things, but still I'm asking. Murli, Srinivas. Is it clear? Clear? Okay.
Yes,
So the
ma'am.
next thing is install VS Code and Jupyter Lab. And Jupyter Lab, I'm just deleting. Tomorrow I will explain you Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook. So let us park that Jupyter thing for tomorrow. Install VS Code, I don't think I need to show you. Just go to Google, download VS Code, next, and done. Install VS Code like any other software, right? Again, about VS Code day after tomorrow. So every day one, right? We should not complete everything in one day. So today my goal is Git and GitHub. Tomorrow my goal is Jupyter Notebook and Jupyter Lab. Day after tomorrow my goal is VS Code. I'll make you comfortable in every ID, but every ID will take one day. And Monday onwards you have everything done. So we can start with the course content. So because VS Code you just need to install and all that, right? Don't worry about VS Code. As I said, day after tomorrow, I will explain you about VS Code. So what we need to do is, once our installation of VS Code is done, we need to understand about the Git and GitHub. Okay. So for this, there is something. So what we need to do is, I'll give you another link. Can you all join in that link, please? I'll share you in the in the chat window, right? Give me 1 minute. Please join in that link because there are some other students also who are waiting for Git and GitHub tutorial. So I'll club both of you, right? So it will be helpful for everyone. It's a very common topic. Just 1 minute. I'm just copying one link. Please join there, okay? So don't worry. A few things you will understand, like Git and GitHub you will understand, but the last 15 minutes demo you can skip. If you are not interested, you can skip. Later anyway, I have to give you a complete thing. But today, if you just want to see how you can take your code further, Git and GitHub is okay. But from GitHub, how you can take it to AWS, you can be there in the class. But if you don't think that is useful, or maybe you are okay to learn later, you can just drop the call after we complete GitHub. I will explain you when I am going to start the demo. And you can drop if you are not interested. But Git and GitHub, please attend. That's very important. And I'm not going to cover Git and GitHub again, right? So because this is very prerequisite, I'm assuming you should know, but if you don't know, I'm giving you a quick tutorial on it, on this, right? So that you will be comfortable. Please join in that link. I'm just dropping from this call. I'm dropping out. Please join in this link that I have shared, right? Everybody copied. Please copy and drop. I'm leaving. I'm going there. Please join in that link.